Just to play it safe. As you can see now, the wheels are down and locked, and they're just seconds away from touchdown.
The gear is down and locked.
A little bit of a crosswind here today. The commander is putting it down now.
And Bill, although John Glenn is now on the ground safely, his job isn't done yet. What happens to him next?
Well, that's right, Paula. He faces about 4 hours of fairly detailed medical tests today to chart his readaptation to gravity. You know, they were interested in how his 77-year-old body would adapt to weightlessness. Now they want to find out how it responds when it's back in Earth's gravity. And of course, that was the whole point of putting him on board in the first place. He did very well in orbit, and I don't think anyone's expecting him to have any problems today.
This is a dramatically different reentry than his last mission. Give us an idea of just how much less gravity pressure is on him at the moment.
Well, it sure is, Paula. During his first flight 36 years ago, he experienced about 7 times the pull of gravity on him, making him weigh 7 times more during reentry. Today, it's like really like a big roller coaster, about 1.5 times the pull of gravity, as the shuttle now is rolling to a stop on runway 33.
Discovery, well stopped, KSC.
Welcome home, Discovery, and a crew of 7 heroes from a mission dedicated to improving life on Earth. Beautiful landing, Kurt. Stand by for post-landing deltas.
We thank Bill Harwood for his help this morning at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And repeating, the Space Shuttle Discovery has landed on schedule, but the 77-year-old John Glenn's mission is not yet over. He still faces months of medical tests. That's it for now. I'm Paula Zahn, CBS News in New York, and now back to CBS Sports College Football Today.
Thank you, Paula. Tim Brando back in our studio. Coming up, the first game of our NASDAQ Amex college football doubleheader. It's the 13th ranked Fighting Irish against Boston College. We'll be here at halftime with updates throughout the afternoon. Enjoy the game right after this message and a word from your local station.
NASDAQ Amex college football on CBS is sponsored by First Union, Little Caesars, Staples, and by the NASDAQ Amex Market Group.
Johnson, I'd like to see some ideas on saving the company money. I'll be back first thing in the morning.
Think. That's the dumbest! Think. Help!
Well, Johnson, Staples, that'll save us a lot of money. You are a genius.
Staples has guaranteed low prices, like 15 pens for 88 cents. Staples, yeah, we've got that.
The address is CBS.
Welcome home!
Hey, football fans, get ready for CBS 2's Big Return Sweepstakes. You could score big prizes after every play of every game all season long, like a 98 Dodge Ram Quad Cab or Dodge Durango SLT, fries and drinks from McDonald's, even a 27-inch Sony Color TV from Circuit City. Pick up your entry forms at participating McDonald's. Catch the big game on CBS 2, then watch Sports Central to see if you're a winner. The Big Return Sweepstakes on CBS 2. Watch and win.
Announcing the Ross Fall Clearance. New markdowns on women's fall fashions. Save 50 to 70% throughout the store. Better hurry.
Arby's treats me like a star. With the $5 value roundup, I get to choose 3 beef and cheddars, or 4 regular roast beefs, or 5 barbecues for $5.
Francesco Lafabula has just created the little black dress that will change everything. The magazines have created a frenzy, and you have sworn that your stores will be the first to carry it. Enter UPS. Customs gets cleared electronically. The global network kicks in. Also that at the same time, on the same day, the dresses arrive from Europe to each of your stores nationwide. Success is a beautiful thing.
Nice dress.
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
The Bilingual Foundation of the Arts presents Don Juan Tenorio, swordsman, libertine, lover. Please call for information.
What are some restaurants secretly doing to get an A? Special assignment Sunday.
Legendary coaches of Notre Dame, Knute Rockne, Ara Parseghian, and Lou Holtz. Now Bob Davie is trying to take his place among the Notre Dame coaching greats. With record-setting tailback Autry Denson as the driving force for this Notre Dame team, the Irish are poised once again to join the college football elite. Frank Leahy coached at Boston College before becoming one of the great Irish coaches. More than 50 years later under Tom O'Brien, BC is trying to recapture its glorious past. Running back Mike Cloud has been a ray of sunshine for this year's team. And an upset over the Irish will be the silver lining in the Eagles season. It's the renewal of the Holy War. Notre Dame versus Boston College. NASDAQ Amex College Football on CBS Sports. It's a crisp fall day here in New England, a perfect backdrop for college football. And for 14 Boston College seniors, including record-setting running back Mike Cloud, it's the last time they will wear the maroon and gold at home here in Chestnut Hill. And live in the tunnel, the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame getting ready to take the field. It's the number 13 Fighting Irish against the Boston College Eagles. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Boston. I'm Sean McDonough along with Terry Donahue, and it's great to have you with us as these two schools, the only two Catholic universities in the country that play Division 1A college football, go head-to-head today. And, Coach, they come into this matchup from different directions. Notre Dame has won 5 in a row. Boston College has lost 5 straight. But there are a lot of similarities. Each team has a terrific running back behind a big and strong offensive line.
Well, there's no question, Sean. Each of these teams are going to try to utilize their offensive line. Notre Dame does a lot of things offensively. The power running game, the option game, as well as the drop back game. So their offensive linemen are going to have to be very, very versatile. But they do have an outstanding tailback in Autry Denson. He has a chance to become the all-time leading rusher in the history of Notre Dame. He has outstanding vision, good cutting ability, and I look for him to have a big day today behind that line. In Boston College, they're 6'5", 300 pounds across the board. Doug Brzezinski, the left guard, is as good as anybody in the country. Boston College wants to control the line of scrimmage and give the ball to Mike Cloud, their outstanding tailback. He's averaging over 5.7 yards per carry. He's an excellent player. I look for him to carry the ball 25 to 30 times today. If he does and that line works well, Boston College has a chance to play here with Notre Dame.
They're meeting for the 10th time, including for the 7th straight year. Last year out at South Bend, Notre Dame prevailed 52-20. And here at Alumni Stadium, the series is tied at 1. The last BC victory came in 1994. Dan Henning's first year as head coach of Boston College. Couldn't ask for a nicer day in November in America's greatest city. 50 degrees at kickoff. The humidity 45%, just a light breeze. Boston College won the toss and elected to defer, so Notre Dame will take the ball, and Tony Driver is back deep, standing at the 5-yard line, awaiting the kickoff of John Madich, the junior from San Diego, California. And we are underway. Delighted to have you with us. Tony Driver from the goal line. The tailback converted to safety this year with a nifty return. And he's out across the 30-yard line. Brought down at the 31-yard line. Tackled by DeJuan Daniels. The Notre Dame quarterback in his first year as the full-time starter is the senior Jarius Jackson from Tupelo, Mississippi. Out of Tupelo High School, he's patiently waited his turn to be the starting quarterback. And he's a dual threat and demonstrated his running and throwing ability last week in the 27-3 win at home against the Baylor Bears. Now the I formation behind Jackson on the first play from scrimmage. And it's Denson getting nothing. Back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all. Gang tackled by a BC defense that has really struggled of late. The starting lineup on offense, Denson in the backfield with the fullback Jamie Spencer. Big play wide receivers and Bobby Brown and Malcolm Johnson. And they have a size advantage against the defenders in the BC secondary. Jabari Holloway, the tight end. A veteran, outstanding offensive line. Mike Rosenthal might be the best offensive lineman that Notre Dame has ever had, according to Coach Bob Davie. Jerry Wisney, red guard, is making his 24th career start today. Out in the flat, overthrown over the head of Malcolm Johnson with Jonathan Ordway in coverage. And it'll be 3rd down and 10 for Notre Dame. Now the Boston College defense. They are strong up front. Chris Hovan, the anchor, in the middle with the junior Mike Willits and Adam Grace, a sophomore. Big boost for the BC defense today, the return of Brian May. He's joined at linebacker by Willie Wright, Adam Newman, and Frank Chamberlain. Obviously a technical problem with the linebacking core. And the secondary is Ramon Johnson and Jonathan Ordway. The corners, Carlos Moore, George White, the safeties, although Pedro Serino may play today for BC. Jamie Spencer the catch on 3rd and 10. He got belted out of bounds but picked up the first down out at the 44. Ramon Johnson in on the stop with help from Pedro Serino.
Sean, that was really a nice job by Jarius Jackson. He looked downfield, wanted to go deep with the ball, all of a sudden found out it was covered and laid the ball off into the flat to Jamie Spencer. Spencer turns it upfield for the first down. I thought Jackson really did a nice job of transitioning on the play.
Jarius completing 52% of his passes this year, averaging 156 per game passing. Back to Denson, showing his cutback ability. He's out near midfield, out to the 49-yard line, tackled by Frank Chamberlain. Denson, the number 2 rusher in Notre Dame history, started the day needing 175 to catch the leading rusher in the history of the Fighting Irish, Alan Pinkin. And the numbers entering the day: 3,957 yards rushing for Denson, the senior from Lauderhill, Florida. He now has Joey Goodspeed lined up at fullback in front of him on 2nd and 5. And moving along the line, looked like Tim Ritter moved. Perhaps Mike Rosenthal.
You can see it at the top of the screen here, Sean. We just had a little movement on the right side.
Prior to the snap. Well, start. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Still 2nd down.
There's Rosenthal and the tight end Jabari Holloway.
Both of them jumped just a little bit early.
Well, Rosenthal might be a little antsy today. He has about 16 relatives in attendance. His parents are from the greater Boston area. They now live in Indiana. His grandparents are also here today. Many other relatives. So now it's 2nd down and 10. The Irish at their own 43. Jackson finds Jabari Holloway, and he's tackled quickly at the 50, about 4 yards short of a first down. Tackled by Brian May, a gain of 7.
You know, Sean, when you play in the inside of a defense like Boston College's Chris Hovan, number 95, the nose guard, you oftentimes get double teamed. That's exactly what's happening right here. There's just a wall of UCLA Notre Dame linemen there to block them. Got carried away there.
Old habits are hard to break.
Oh, boy.
Chris Hovan from Rocky River, Ohio, a junior. First team All Big East last year. Jackson on 3rd and short, throws a bullet for another first down. So that's a couple of 3rd downs they've converted. This one to Malcolm Johnson, and he's out of bounds at the Boston College 38-yard line. Ramon Johnson and Pedro Serino again on the stop.
Well, I think you have to credit to the Notre Dame offensive line here. Jarius Jackson had plenty of time to find Malcolm Johnson downfield. He had plenty of time to get his feet set. His rhythm was good. He delivered the ball. He's been impressive so far in this opening drive. Jarius Jackson, the quarterback.
BC rushed 5 men, but that offensive line did a terrific job, as they have throughout the season. Play action pass, and Johnson's wide open, and he's inside the 20. They felt they could make some big plays today against this Boston College defense that's young and inexperienced and has really struggled in the secondary. They're helped today, Tim Rose's defense. He's the coordinator at BC, by the return of Pedro Sereno and Brian May, but still a very young group that's been prone to giving up the big play in the secondary.
No question. And one of the things that BC wanted to do so desperately in this game is get off to a good start. They've been outscored terribly in the first quarter this season, and they need to get off to a good start, get some enthusiasm and confidence.
Up the middle goes the fullback Jamie Spencer, the senior from Monroe, Louisiana. Notre Dame in the red zone now, and they've been an outstanding red zone team. 27 times inside the opposing 20, 18 touchdowns and 7 field goals. They've scored on 25 of 27 trips. The only misses in the red zone were a bad snap on a field goal against Army and a failed 4th and 1 when Autry Denson carried inside the 20 last week against Baylor. Draw, Denson, tackled by George White at the 13-yard line, so another 3rd down facing Tom O'Brien's defense. He's in his 2nd year as head coach here at Boston College and has won rave reviews from all involved with this BC program for the great job that he has done walking into a very difficult situation. Inherited the mess of a gambling scandal that resulted in several players leaving the program, but they quickly put that behind them. They're recruiting very well. And the veteran players we talked to yesterday said they wish they could stick around a few more years because they believe this program is on the verge of turning around with the young talent that has been brought in. 10th play of this opening drive on 3rd down and 5. Again, lots of time for Jackson. Now lots of running room. He has the 1st down and takes a late hit out of bounds. Jonathan Ordway knocked him out of bounds, and then there was a late hit after the gain of 11. It might have been Willie Wright who hit him beyond the sideline. So they'll have a 1st and goal inside the 3-yard line.
Boy, you have to credit Jarius Jackson with this play. He's looking to his right all the way. He doesn't find anybody. He has the presence of mind to pull the ball down and then runs for the corner.
Personal foul, late hit out of bounds, half the distance to the goal, 1st down.
And there's no question, Sean, you're right. Willie Wright, number 13, he's the culprit right there. Clear foul, and no question about it.
Davey thought it might be a touchdown. And he'll take the 1st and goal inside the 2 with good speed in the backfield, lined up in front of Autry Denson. Mike McNair in motion. Denson, great cut, and a touchdown for Notre Dame.
Good backs do lots of different things, Sean. They have vision, cutting ability. Watch the cut that he makes. He just makes the BC defender miss. There's an unblocked guy who penetrates into the backfield, but Autry Denson can elude him and get the ball into the end zone. Bob Davey knows that's a great way for the Irish to start the day.
Jim Sanson adds the extra point. An impressive opening drive by the Irish. And Autry Denson has now scored a rushing touchdown in every game this year.
This is a world only a few know well. A world of risk and uncertainty, where the roads can take you to success or prosperity, or sometimes to no place at all. This is the financial world. For decades, banks and investment firms of mountainous size have ruled the land. Yet high above the horizon, another mountain has risen. A mountain called First Union. With 16 million customers, the nation's 8th largest brokerage and 6th largest bank. For a new perspective of the financial world, come to the mountain called First Union. Or if you prefer, the mountain will come to you.
According to the press, you couldn't choose a better time to get a new car. So why not get the one Automobile Magazine chose over Accord and Camry for their 1998 All-Star Award for Best Family Sedan, the Intrigue. And right now, you can lease an Intrigue for only $299 a month. For more information, call toll-free 1-877-36-LEASE. Intrigue from Oldsmobile.
At age 23, he set out to do what no computer company had ever done. Build every computer to order, back every computer with service, and work hand in hand with every customer. As the world's leading direct marketer of computer systems, Dell is far outpacing the industry growth rate. Where do you learn about companies that are actually changing the way the world does business? Exactly. NASDAQ Amex, the market of markets.
It's the funniest comedy you can get without a prescription.
I don't like to put all these chemicals in my body. Yeah, clearly it's a temple.
Ted Danson as Becker, CBS Outtake Monday.
Boston College student section trying to remain upbeat despite the quick score by the Fighting Irish. They went 69 yards in 11 plays. Took 4 minutes and 50 seconds off the clock and scored on a 1-yard run by Autry Denson. Now it's Hunter Smith, the punter, who handles the kickoffs for Notre Dame. He'll send it away to Carlton Rowe and Cedric Washington. That's Rowe standing at the 5-yard line. Rowe couldn't go anywhere. Tried to change direction, but then got tripped up from behind by Ron Israel, who's the brother of NFL defensive back Steve Israel, who plays his home games just down the road in Foxborough, Massachusetts, for the New England Patriots. Well, the BC offense, the strength of the team, comes onto the field, and you got the sense talking to the Eagles yesterday, they felt if they were going to have success today, they'd need to outscore the Irish. Scott Mutrin is the 5th-year senior quarterback out of St. Ignatius High School in Cleveland. He throws on the rollout, and it's caught by the Eagles' leading receiver, Anthony DeCosmo, and he breaks a couple of tackles and goes out to the 34-yard line. A 15-yard gain. Brock Williams made the tackle for Notre Dame. The rest of the Boston College offense around Scott Mutrin. Mike Cloud, the 4th leading rusher in the nation, with Ryan Upso, the blocking fullback, Harding and DeCosmo, the wide receivers, Rob Tardio, a good pass catcher. The strength of the offense up front, in addition to Cloud, the offensive line. Cook, Brzezinski, Woody, Collins, and Zakauskas. Big, strong offensive line. Jeff Jagodzinski, the offensive coordinator, says he would trade Woody and Brzezinski for any center guard duo in the country. Cloud dropped for a loss as he was sent back to the 32-yard line. Tripped over the foot of his own offensive lineman, Michael Cook. Up front on defense for Notre Dame, Anthony Weaver with Lance Legree and Brad Williams. Veteran linebacking core, all of them seniors. Corey Minor, Jimmy Friday, Bobby Howard, the heart and soul of the defense, according to the Irish coaches, and Lamont Bryant. Brock Williams, Tony Driver, Johnny Sanders, and Ty Good starts for Deveron Harper, who's still bothered by a pulled left hamstring. Harper did not play at all last week against Baylor. Cloud. Good cut back to the inside, and he's ankle tackled at the 40-yard line. He had much more ground to cover, but he slipped through the tackle of a Johnny Sanders.
Sean, this is the play that Boston College is going to try to run about 20 times today. They're going to try to get Mike Cloud on the outside zone play. He's going to read the tight end's block. If the tight end doesn't have the man hooked, he's going to cut it back inside like he did there. If the tight end has him hooked, he'll bounce it to the outside. Watch for this play continuously throughout the afternoon.
3rd down and 4. Boston College at its own 40. Here comes the blitz. Cloud runs through it and has a first down, showing some strength as Cloud slides out to the 47-yard line. Lamont Bryant made the stop for ND.
Well, Bobby Howard, number 27, as you said, Sean, he comes on the blitz. He's going to hit the gap. He hits it with good timing, but he gets pushed to the outside, and Cloud breaks 2 tackles to make this first down. Cloud is a very strong running back. He can break tackles. He's a fierce competitor, and he gets his shoulder pads down there and drives for the first.
BC trying to answer the opening Notre Dame score. Cloud turns the corner into Fighting Irish territory and out of bounds inside the 40-yard line. Bobby Howard chased him out, but Cloud has a gain of 13, another first down for BC.
Tom O'Brien, the head coach at Boston College, felt they could run the ball on Notre Dame. They said, hey, listen, we played against Miami's front, we played against Syracuse fronts. There's a lot of good fronts we've played against. We can run the ball on the Irish, and so far in this opening drive, they've done exactly that.
We mentioned earlier, Autry Denson's in pursuit of the Irish all-time rushing lead, and Mike Cloud has just moved past Mike Esposito recently, number 2 on BC's all-time rushing lead behind Troy Stratford. Mutrin going for the home run ball, and it's incomplete. Brock Williams had the coverage on Jermaine Walker, and it'll be second down and 10.
Well, Boston College runs a little bootleg action. They've been running the ball. Now what you do is you fake the run, and then you try to go deep one-on-one, and you've got Williams against Walker. The ball's just overthrown. There's a little incidental contact, but nothing serious there. Good call by the official with no call.
Not a lot of speed at the wideout position for Boston College. Walker, one of their quickest. Second down and 10. Tardio, the tight end, the motion man. And it's Cloud for very little this time. Down to the 38, wrapped up by Brad Williams.
Now Boston College right here needs to be thinking, are we in 3-down territory or 4-down territory? It really affects the signal calling by the offensive coaches. Are we going to go for it if we don't make it? The ball's on the 39-yard line. Do we want to be in 4-down territory where we have 2 downs to pick up this first down, or are we going to run one play and then either punt the ball or try a very long field goal, which is probably too long unless they gain some yardage?
3 wide receivers for Mutrin here. Out of the shotgun with the blitz coming, trying to set up the screen. Cloud tackled by the only man in the neighborhood for Notre Dame, Bobby Howard. A huge play by the leading tackler for the Irish, the senior from Rand, West Virginia, because if he didn't tackle Cloud, Cloud had at least 20 down the far sideline.
There is no question Boston College ran an excellent screen play. This is just a great individual effort by Bobby Howard, 27. He just runs through the BC offensive lineman and makes the play. That would have been at least a 20-yard gain, Sean.
Instead, it's a punt on 4th down from the Irish 39. Jason Malecki, another senior in his final home game, that nearly hit a Notre Dame player, and it's down around the 19-yard line. Just a 19-yard punt. The Irish back on the attack, leading 7-0.
America Online introduces new version 4.0.
There has never been a better time to get online.
The easiest just got easier.
Instant messages.
I can customize my email.
My niece sent me a picture.
If you have a phone line, you can be online.
It's the easiest way to keep up with old friends.
Everyone I know is on it.
We've spent over $1 billion to create a state-of-the-art high-speed network, and with 56K, connections are faster than ever.
It's the ultimate local guide.
New 4.0, check it out. It's my connection to the world.
America Online, so easy to use, no wonder it's #1.
Some people call it retirement planning. I think of this as future construction. Year by year, block by block, until...
It's our dream house.
Beautiful. But I was hoping we could afford to travel. This plan can help make it happen. We can even make sure you've got worry-free income for life.
AXA, dynamic vision, equitable, a trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the global AXA group.
You heard about the High Endurance Deodorant Challenge from Old Spice? It's great at stopping odor. But what if you gotta stop sweat? Well, now High Endurance makes a powerful new antiperspirant. A white solid that goes on clear. See? No white flakes. So you can stay dry without the white mess you get from some other antiperspirants. Guaranteed. Or call 1-800-PROVE-IT and Old Spice will buy you a stick of yours. So take the challenge. Because this is more than just an antiperspirant. This is the high endurance of antiperspirants.
On the NFL Today.
A look at how the pro game has been treating 2 high-profile rookie quarterbacks.
It's been a struggle, but, you know, I went through that before.
The hard part is that you have to sometimes screw it up in the games in order to learn.
Plus Flutie Mania on the NFL Today.
Notre Dame leads 7-0. Let's welcome in the other member of our broadcast team. Here's Mike Mayock.
Thanks very much, Sean. It's no secret BC wants to control the football and reduce the clock here. So what they're going to do is they're going to use Mike Cloud on the outside zone play. All the linemen are reaching. Here's the key block, the tight end. If he gets the seal, then Mike Cloud's going to take it to the perimeter. If he doesn't, he's going to come back on the backside off Damian Woody. And what Cloud told us yesterday, he'd love to use the Notre Dame defensive quickness against them.
We'll see that when BC goes back on offense. At the moment, 1st and 10 Notre Dame. Jarius Jackson waving Johnson deep. Johnson is open, but Jackson wanted to go even deeper than that to Bobby Brown. He actually threw in the direction of the receiver who was receiving better coverage. Pedro Serino missed the last 2 games with a right shoulder injury, had nerve problems that really prevented him from even raising his arm. But he's out there trying to play today.
Boy, you got the impressions talking to the Boston College coaches. It was so important to get Serino back in the lineup, and also Brian May, the linebacker. They add such stability and leadership and experience back there.
Without Brian May, sometimes they have a hard time getting lined up on defense. They're just so young. When he's in there, middle linebacker, he can get the defense properly aligned. 2nd and 10. Jackson throws it away. Nearest to it was Joey Getherall. The first time Notre Dame had the ball, absolutely no pressure from the BC defense, and that's a very good front 3. Willits, Hovan, and Grace, and that gives you an indication of just how good this Notre Dame offensive line is.
Well, and it was interesting. The first drive was a little bit more run, a little bit more play action pass, but Notre Dame seems to feel at this point in time there's some real weaknesses in the Boston College secondary, and we can throw the ball, loosen that defense up, and then get back to the running game.
Kai Nelson now checks in at wide receiver number 9. On 3rd down and 10. Jackson throws a strike to Malcolm Johnson. Again, Serino and Ramon Johnson were there. And that was a key on the first drive when Notre Dame converted 3 third downs. And they convert this 3rd and 10 on a gain of 24.
Well, I think this is the key, Sean. As you just said, they have converted 3rd downs. The Boston College defense has played well on 1st and 2nd down, but on 3rd down, Notre Dame's been able to attack them through the airways. Here, Jarius Jackson throwing the strike on the post to Malcolm Johnson.
Johnson's a big target at 6'5", 215 pounds. Jarius Jackson off to a strong start. 1st and 10 Notre Dame at its own 44. Denson trying to bounce outside, and he's out to the 49-yard line. Frank Chamberlain, the converted fullback, made the tackle for Boston College. There's Chamberlain, a junior from Mahwah, New Jersey, out of Mahwah High School. His high school coach Ed Caparell told former BC coach Dan Henning, when Henning was recruiting in that area, that Chamberlain was the best player he'd coached in 34 years of high school coaching. Coach Henning said, that's good enough for me. They weren't really hot after Chamberlain, but when you hear a high school coach who's coached a lot of good ones say something like that, you take his word for it. They try the fullback, and it works very well. Jamie Spencer picks up the 1st down into BC territory at the 37-yard line, chopped down by Pedro Serino after a pickup of 13.
Part of the Notre Dame attack is the option play, the trap option play. This is the trap part of the option play. They trap to the fullback inside. He finds a crease in the BC defense and hits it straight up the middle. It's really hard when you have a guy attacking straight up the middle, then all of a sudden the quarterback will keep the ball, take it outside and pitch it. It really puts stress on that defense.
Notre Dame marched crisply on the first drive. There's a missed connection on the handoff. Autry Denson got it back. He had a fumble last week against Baylor that was lost. And he's lost just 3 fumbles in 3 seasons at Notre Dame. He almost lost another one.
We just had a shot of the defensive coordinator at Boston College, Tim Rose, and it's interesting, Tim doesn't have a headset on. He's one of the few coordinators in the country that doesn't wear a headset.
He says he goes back to his days as a high school coach for about 15 years in Ohio, when he had to call all the offense, all the defense, and didn't really have any help doing it. He got used to doing it. He has input from others on the sideline, but prefers not to wear the headset. Benson tripped up. That was another play that looked like it might go a long way. Had George White not managed to trip up Denson, and now he goes down to a knee. Seems to be favoring his right foot as he looks toward the Notre Dame sideline.
Denson looked like he got leg whipped here as he cut up that field. Looked like he just got tripped up by George White. Just kind of whipped his leg.
We talked with Autry Denson yesterday, asked him his strength as a running back. He said the first thing that he thought of was durability. That was his greatest asset, according to Autry. Tony Fisher replaces him, the true freshman. Another 3rd and long. Jackson almost on his knees when he threw it short. Frank Chamberlain had Jackson around the legs, and the pass came up short of Malcolm Johnson. So finally, Boston College holds on a 3rd down.
Boston College was able to get a little bit of pressure up front. They're coming with some linebacker pressure. Jarius Jackson has to step up into the pocket. He does a good job of getting rid of the ball, but sure enough, that pressure finally took a little effect on Notre Dame.
Hunter Smith in his 4th year as the Notre Dame starting punter. Only Craig Hendrick has a better career punting average. Wow, that's as high as the Prudential building in downtown Boston. And Jermaine Walker didn't have enough room to make the catch, and a flag throw is thrown. A 24-yard punt. And Tom O'Brien will benefit from a penalty against Notre Dame. They didn't provide the punt returner enough space.
Yeah, you need 2 yards. When a punt returner is going to fair catch a ball, you have to give him 2 yards.
Interference with the opportunity, 2-yard radius, 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
Robbie Howard clearly too close, and they bring the ball out to the 19. That's where Boston College will begin when we come back.
According to the press, you couldn't choose a better time to get a new car. So why not get the one Automobile Magazine chose over Accord and Camry for their 1998 All-Star Award for Best Family Sedan, the Intrigue. And right now, you can lease an Intrigue for only $299 a month. For more information, call toll-free 1-877-36-LEASE. Intrigue from Oldsmobile.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm just watching some home movies.
Oh, look at that little ball of dough. Is that you?
You got a very good eye. That is me. And look over there, that's you. Remember this? Sauce made from vine-ripened tomatoes, 100% real mozzarella.
Beautiful pepperoni.
This just brings back a lot of memories. I'm flooded.
We grew up so
Are you crying?
No, it's the onion.
Really? I can see you tearing up.
No.
Little Caesars Pizza by the foot. 16 delicious slices with one topping. Nearly 4 feet of pizza for one low price.
Pizza.
Insuring over 40 million people worldwide.
Catch martial arts superstar Sammo Hung in the #1 new drama.
You failed your driver's test.
You have beautiful eyes.
Are you trying to butter me up?
Martial Law, CBS tonight.
Sean McDonough with Terry Donahue and Mike Mayock back at sold-out Alumni Stadium in Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts, on the outskirts of Boston. Notre Dame leads 7-0. Boston College on offense for the 2nd time. Marched into Notre Dame territory before being forced to punt on its first possession. On the one-back set, Cloud reading that block and trying to get outside and gets nothing. Great pursuit to the ball by the Notre Dame defense. Tony Driver led that pursuit. Brock Williams also there. The NFL on CBS tomorrow, a doubleheader beginning at 1 Eastern time. There are some very important games tomorrow on that list. At 1 Eastern, most of you will see the game between Indianapolis and Miami. And I know everybody in this part of the country is looking forward to the game between Buffalo and the New York Jets. It all begins at noon Eastern time. When the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines. How big is Doug Flutie mania? Here at his alma mater this morning, they served Flutie Flakes in the press box to the members of the media for their breakfast. That's Mike Cloud trying the other side and getting almost nothing again. Tony Driver made the tackle.
Tony Driver, the safety for Notre Dame, number 25, he's been active on the last 2 plays. Notre Dame knows that Boston College wants to run the ball and try to control the clock, keep their own defense off the field. Notre Dame's up there with an 8-man front. Tony Driver being the 8th man in that front. He's made back-to-back tackles.
Tony's a sophomore from Louisville, Kentucky. Some talk that he might shift back to tailback next season when Audrey Denson departs. On 3rd and long, Mutrin throws for a first down. Mike Cloud out of the backfield. And he's up to the 37-yard line. Tackled by Ty Good, the senior from Lincoln, Nebraska. That's a gain of 18 for Boston College. It was Corey Minor who flushed Scott Mutrin out of the pocket.
Mutrin did a nice job. He's looking downfield, couldn't find anybody. The BC offensive line gave him enough protection, but he steps up into the pocket and finds Cloud on the sideline for the first down. Excellent pocket work by the quarterback.
Tom O'Brien says he thinks his offense is a top 30 caliber offense. And really, in this week's NCAA stats, he's shortchanged them because they're number 20 in the nation out of 112 Division I teams on offense. The problem has been they are 80th in total defense. Mutrin in trouble. He managed to get away from Anthony Weaver. Now he throws deep. Man wide open. Jermaine Walker. He's down at the 12-yard line. Tackled by Brock Williams.
This is a little bootleg action by Boston College. They're going to fake a running play, then they're going to come back on a little bootleg action. They're looking downfield. The Notre Dame secondary did a great job. There was no one open. And then all of a sudden it becomes a broken play. Anytime there's a broken play, defensive backs have got to stay in coverage. Brock Williams, 38 for Notre Dame, broke the coverage.
And that's a 51-yard gain. And there's an injured BC player. Jermaine Walker, the senior from Houston, with the big catch. And that might be Scott Mutrin, who ran over the sidelines.
Well, he's under pressure here by Tony Weaver. And when he gets this ball off, then he takes the hit. Was that Bobby Howard again?
Yes, it was. Mutrin got up, ran the length of the field down toward the huddle, but then went toward the sideline. And as he went toward the sideline, he was obviously in pain and decided to take a seat. And now the medical staff is tending to him. Mutrin 4 out of 5 for 84 yards. Is Greg Madison, the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame. And that's Tim Hasselbeck, the backup quarterback, the sophomore from Norfolk, Mass. And as BC has struggled in recent weeks, some of the fans and local members of the media have been raising the possibility of Hasselbeck becoming the starting quarterback. But as Tom O'Brien said yesterday, the offense has not been the problem. And at this point, Mutrin is clearly better than Tim Hasselbeck.
No question. Tom O'Brien was very, very strong in his statement about that to us, Sean. And I don't think you're going to see a quarterback change here at BC regardless. He believes that Mutrin is his best chance to win this year, and he wants to win games for BC this year.
BC red zone offense also above the national average. Hasselbeck's the younger brother of Matt Hasselbeck, who was the starting quarterback here ahead of Mutrin the last 2 years. Big first play is to give it to Mike Cloud. Touchdown!
This was good strategy here by Boston College. They went into an unbalanced line. You can see there's only 2 guys on that side of the ball. They're trying to outflank the Notre Dame defense, and they run the power play off tackle. The great vision of Mike Cloud. He was supposed to run inside the tackle. He sensed it outside, and he broke it outside for the touchdown.
John Madich adds the extra point. Cloud followed a terrific block by the fullback Ryan Birch on his way to an 11-yard run and a game-tying score.
Good financial decisions require expertise. Life needs flexibility. success demands leadership. If there's something you want to achieve, the principal has one word of advice. Plan ahead, get ahead. The Principal Financial Group.
People often ask, what's the real Bill Shatner like? I tell them, find out with Web TV. You can watch one of my many shows and be on the internet at the same time. Looking up websites about Shatner, the author, Willie the Cowboy, and yes, Bill the rock star. Of course, you could look up other websites and watch other shows. But why?
Web TV service, the internet, television, and more.
This is a test. It is only a test. In the event of an actual emergency, Safeco's first concern is to make sure you're okay. We want to take good care of you. We'll respond to your claim immediately. And we will guarantee repairs to your car are done right. This concludes our test.
We now return you to the real world. Be careful out there.
If you're a smoker and your sex life is not all it could be or should be, this week's 60 Minutes is one broadcast you can't afford to miss. Sunday.
Mike Cloud, the senior from Portsmouth, Rhode Island, put the finishing touches on the 81-yard drive. Just 5 plays. The big play, the 51-yard pass from Scott Mutrin to Jermaine Walker. And the Eagle fans making noise as John Madich kicks off to Tony Driver. Driver from the 7. Driver finds a seam on the sideline and drives out to the 36-yard line. 2 very good kickoff returns today by Driver. John Madich, the kicker, in on the tackle. That return 29 yards. Who is the best player in college football? Each week, CBS Sportsline breaks down the top players position by position. And don't forget to cast your vote in the Player of the Week poll at cbs.sportsline.com. Scott Mutrin still being examined by the BC medical staff. Looks like he's okay. We'll get a report from Mike Mayock after this play. 1st and 10 Irish from their own 36. Audrey Denson into the secondary. And a touchdown saving tackle made by Pat Feltz, a reserve cornerback. That's 27 on the run for Denson. And let's get that report on Scott Mutrin from Mike.
Hey, Sean, what happened on the long pass play was that he got hit awfully hard, and he told the doctor he saw some stars, but the head is not the problem. The problem is the right hand. He landed very awkwardly on it. He's working on the sidelines to make sure, A, he can get the snap, and B, grip the football, but he should be okay to go as long as those 2 things check out.
You know, he wants to play. As he said, he's had a lot of ups and downs during his career, and it would be a chance for a huge up if they could pull off the major upset against Notre Dame today. That's Denson again inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. And Willie Wright and Brian May combined on the stop. That will likely be the last play of the first quarter. And it is. At the end of the first quarter, the score, Notre Dame 7 and Boston College 7. We'll return to Alumni Stadium after these messages and a word from your local station.
We spend an amazing amount of time selecting our fund managers and our analysts.
Everybody here loves the stock market, loves trying to figure out companies and understand their business better.
We have very bright people. We have people that work amazingly hard.
To me, this is my dream job. Picking the right stock is a great feeling because you know it has a direct impact on so many shareholders.
We pick our people just as carefully as we select our stocks.
Visit our website or call your advisor.
When we drafted Tim Duncan, I invited him to my home to get ready for the season. He was learning so much.
That doesn't count. You were out.
The roses are out, Timmy, not the daisies. So one day, you brought this into my home.
It's not something I'm proud of.
I calmly explained how Edge Pro Gel protects better than foam because it has 8 rich lubricants.
David, sure know how to make a guy feel comfortable.
More lemonade, Tim?
Edge Pro Gel. Save your skin.
The roses, Tim, are out of bounds.
Go with the gnomes. The gnomes can be out of bounds.
The address is CBS.
welcome home.
Francesco Lafabula has just created the little black dress that will change everything. The magazines have created a frenzy, and you have sworn that your stores will be the first to carry it. Enter UPS. Customs gets cleared electronically. The global network kicks in. Also that at the same time, on the same day, the dresses arrive from Europe to each of your stores nationwide. Success is a beautiful thing.
Nice dress.
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
Hey, football fans, get ready for CBS 2's Big Return Sweepstakes. You could score big prizes after every play of every game all season long, like a 98 Dodge Ram Quad Cab or Dodge Durango SLT, fries and drinks from McDonald's, even a Nokia Pure Digital PCS phone with the Pacific Bell Smart Chip from Pacific Bell Wireless. Pick up your entry forms at participating McDonald's. Catch the big game on CBS 2, then watch Sports Central to see if you're a winner. The Big Return Sweepstakes on CBS 2.
We interrupt this program for a special report. America's moist towelette shortage.
Thousands of Americans were left with messy hands today in the worst moist towelette shortage in history. Analysts are blaming the epidemic on the overwhelming demand for Sizzler's new expanded barbecue menu, featuring 6 sauce-smothered lunches and 7 mouth-watering messy dinners. How long will the crisis last? Sources say, for a limited time only.
This has been a special report from Sizzler. Stay tuned for more.
Complete NFL coverage. Sports Central, Sunday.
The underdog Boston College Eagles hang in there. After one quarter, 7-7 the score. Notre Dame ready to go. On second down at the Boston College 34-yard line. Jackson under pressure and sacked by Chris Hovan. And Terry, that looks to be the key to this game as we look toward the rest of the afternoon. It's quite possible that BC can score some today against Notre Dame, but can they stop them is really the question.
I think that is the question. BC can move the ball against Notre Dame's defense. They felt that coming into the game. They've done it thus far, but can they put pressure on Notre Dame, and can they line up and stop that Notre Dame running game? So far, they've not been able to do that.
They had no pressure on Jackson on the first Notre Dame possession. It has improved some for the BC defense since. Now another big third down. 3rd and 11. Jackson a lot of time down the middle, deflected and still caught by Malcolm Johnson. That went off the hands of Brian May, but he couldn't squeeze it. And Johnson catches it on the ricochet and goes down to the 18-yard line. A 19-yard gain.
Well, there's no question here. BC had an opportunity to intercept the ball. Malcolm Johnson's going to run an inside route. He runs an inside cut, but he gets the ball on the rebound, if you will. Makes a good catch, concentration on the ball. But Brian May, 46, has it right in his hands for the interception. He just couldn't hang on to it.
When we talk about BC stopping Notre Dame, those are the kinds of plays they have to make when they have the opportunity. Jamie Spencer was buried right at the line of scrimmage by Chris Hovan. Hovan had a big day last year in their loss to Notre Dame in South Bend. 4 tackles, 3 quarterback pressures, forced a fumble, had a tackle for a loss, and he usually is a presence in the opposing backfield.
Well, the second leading tackler on the team for a nose guard, a little bit unusual. Normally your linebackers are a strong safety, but not at Boston College. Hovan is.
How do you like that face paint?
Wow.
After the wrestler's sting, we are told. Flag thrown as Autry Denson sliced down to the 6-yard line, where he was stopped by Pedro Serino. If that stands, it's 1st and goal Notre Dame, but it was thrown where you would expect a holding call.
You can see the eyes here of Hovan. You know, you line up as a center, you're looking across the line of scrimmage at a guy like that, you're wondering about him. How stable is he mentally?
And he also helped the officials with the call. He knew there was holding. But how about that? Hey, if Jesse the Body Ventura can be the governor of Minnesota, I guess that kind of face paint and anything associated with wrestling shouldn't be too frightening to anybody. I like it. Second down and long now, 2nd and 20 at the Boston College 29-yard line. Early in the second quarter, these great rivals tied at 7. Jackson again with all day to throw, and it is caught for a touchdown. Joey Getherall. And there's a flag down. Thrown in the backfield.
Personal foul, roughing the passer on the defense. Touchdown is good. Penalty is assessed on the PAT.
Boy, you talk about a great throw. This was a great throw by Jarius Jackson. He put this ball on a rope. He gets set. He rips it down the field. Getherall makes a great catch on the inside post route. It actually hit him in the leg, but he was able to get down there with his hands and make the reception. Bob Davie knows, touchdown Notre Dame.
Another example that Boston College defense, coach, almost making the play. We saw two hands, Pedro Sereno and the man in coverage on Getherall, right there, perhaps positioned to make a play, couldn't quite make it. It's been a season like that on defense for Tom O'Brien's group.
And that's, I think, why Tom and his coaches have been so frustrated, because they've been close, but particularly defensively, they're a step or two away. They're going to have a couple good recruiting years, get more team speed in here if they're going to play better defense.
Jim Sanson grabs the extra point and makes it. And Notre Dame leads again. CBS Sports coverage of NASDAQ Amex College Football will continue after this word from your local station.
The address is CBS.
Welcome home.
French, German.
You're the genius behind the new Speak in a Week foreign language CDs. But can you say global distribution? You know linguistics, not logistics. Entree UPS. The same people you rely on here clear customs electronically and deliver to over 200 countries worldwide. Soon orders are rolling in and everyone's speaking your language.
Bonjour. My city of war.
UPS, moving at the speed of business.
Auto theft can happen anytime, anywhere. For guaranteed protection against auto theft, nothing is more reliable than the Club Vehicle Anti-Theft Device. The Club, America's #1 name in visible anti-theft protection. We interrupt this program for a special report.
America's moist towelette shortage caused by Sizzler's new expanded barbecue menu continues. Let's go to the scene.
It's out of control here. They've got 6 barbecue lunches and 7 dinners, and not a towelette in sight. Just look at this. That's not coming out, man.
Officials advise the public to remain calm and to try blotting affected areas with a little soda water.
This has been a special report from Sizzler. Stay tuned for more.
Why eyeglass stores could leave you seeing red. Special assignment tonight.
Joey Getherall's first career touchdown has given Notre Dame the lead again. It's 14-7 Fighting Irish. Carlton Rowe along with Cedric Washington waiting for the kickoff from Hunter Smith, the senior from Sherman, Texas, a sociology major at Notre Dame. A short kickoff. Carlton Rowe from the 15-yard line. Straight ahead. And Hunter Smith, who did the kicking off, made the tackle at the 43-yard line. 28 on the run back for Rowe, who's been injured in recent weeks. The athletic trivia question: who won the national championship the last time John Glenn was in space? We're happy that the crew returned safely today. You saw it here on CBS as we came on the air. The college football national champion the last time John Glenn was in space. It was in 1962. There's a hint. Cedric Washington in a tailback right now, giving Mike Cloud a rest. Scott Mutrin is back in the game for BC. after being a little woozy and seeing stars on the last drive. And Jimmy Friday and Corey Minor combined on the stop on Washington.
Boston College has been somewhat effective on first down today thus far. One of the things that Boston College coaches talked about was trying to win the battle of first down, get 4 to 5 yards on first down, put our offense in a more advantageous position to play second and third down. Thus far today, they've been able to do that. They've been able to run the ball against the Notre Dame front zone.
Cedric Washington remains the tailback. He shifted out in motion. Mutrin, pump fake, now takes off. Good decision. First down for Scott Mutrin at the 45-yard line of Notre Dame, where Anthony Weaver, the true freshman from Saratoga Springs, New York, made the tackle.
One thing about Notre Dame's defense this year, they're playing an awful lot of players. Greg Madison, the defensive coordinator, was talking to us about how many players they were going to play. And sure enough, they're rotating.